All right, hey, Merry Christmas Eve. To all my cool Patreon members, thanks so much for supporting me throughout the year. I wanna do. Let me tell you what I want to do, and then let me tell you why I don't really do it that often. I want to share with you all the shots that I took for the Gonks and the Skeleton shot that I'm gonna post. That I'm going to post, not gonna. I'm going to post, and I don't often do this, but I mean, I do have lighting tutorials and photo tutorials and stuff on YouTube, but I don't often do this because my process isn't one where I get this idea in my head and I go and I put it on the table and I light it and I execute it and there it is. Oftentimes I find my process is more like, okay, I want to do some photography. What figures do I want to use? Okay, cool. Let's put them on the table. Let's get a pose. Let's build a scene around them. Oh, wait a minute. No, yeah, I like this pose. Well, no, I don't like this figure. Darn it. Heck, you know what? Let me get another figure. Actually, let me get all my figures out, scatter them all over the floor with all their different weapons. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's my process. And so it takes me a long time because I'm searching for something in there. I'm searching for some sort of balance, and I'm in just the pose and the figures, and I'm searching for this moment where, and this is going to sound cheesy. It's going to sound like I'm on a dating app, but I'm searching for this moment where what my hands have put together, my mind says, okay, that can work, and my sort of artistic spirit says, man, I like what you guys did, heart. Or hands and head. I like what you guys put together, man. We can run with this. So that's cheesy as it sounds. That's really, really what's happening for me. I sit out and I pose the figures for a while and I mess around with them, and I get ideas and I get inspired and I get motivated and then I'm like, oh man, this would be a cool idea. And so I arrive at that point where now I've got the figures set up. Now I can go ahead and build out a set and I can light it and all the other things that go into making a toy photography photo for my process. And so hopefully that's going to give you a little bit of preface, I guess, to what I'm going to show you here. And so when I got these figures set up, Gonks and the Skeletons, or the skeleton, I'm like, okay, cool, let's build the set around them. There will be another part of the video that shows me setting everything up and putting the wires and making the pose and the grass and all that stuff too. So I will also do another part of the video that shows the post-processing. So, but this part is just the buildup of images that 25 images that why one image made me take another image, what I fixed and how I fixed it until I arrive at the single image that I'm going to edit. So this is the first shot. It doesn't really count, but I put it in because this is just me testing and making sure the flash was working and everything was good. So what I'm looking for, first of all, is the balance of light between my digital background and what I have set up with my flash. Just at this point, all that I have on here is my digital background, a softbox overhead, and camera left, high upper camera left out of frame. There's a Ulanzi unmodified, just being a separation light back there. And I'm looking to make sure that this background matches the scene that I have lit. And you can control that, or I control that generally by the circular polarizing filter that is on the lens when I use a digital background. You can control it other ways, but the absolute best way is a CPL. And so here we're getting a good balance. We've got a good place to start. There is a hot spot here on the wagon itself and a hot spot here. We're doing one thing at a time. I'm going to address the hot spot here on the wagon, and I could adjust the position of the Ulanzi light in the back, but I kind of like where it is because I like the way it's giving me that little bit of light coming through the back, little separating light back here. So what I did is I put a prop on the wagon and moved the wagon. But, you know, cause and effect, you solve one problem to create two more kind of thing. So here, yeah, I still have a hot spot. And everything looks a bit jumbled up in the frame now. It looks a bit jumbled up behind. It looks like I'm trying to fix something. Everything's jumbled up behind the figures, and I don't like that. I wanted to shoot this in portrait orientation, but it was just way too tight. So I went with landscape orientation on this, but you know, because it gives a lot more room to the figures, but there's a lot more frame to fill. So I had to be really conscious of how I'm going to fill this frame, and it has to look kind of natural. So here it doesn't look very natural. I've got a lot of frame space on the left, and it's wide open, and I don't like it. So we'll move on to the next shot. I went ahead and took another shot and didn't fix anything yet. I just wanted to take the next shot, and I think what I did here is I took the shot and I left the modeling light on by accident. So for the whole 4-second exposure, the modeling light was on after the flash went off, and that wasn't. So I retook the shot right here without the modeling light on. Determined it was a bit dark here, and so the next shot. And also back to my point of the frame being wide open back here. I moved the tree stump. And in this shot, I moved the tree stump and I brought in a bounce card and a light source in the front, sort of by the camera lens. That does open this up a lot more. And it does it in a pretty broad way. I could have used a barn door here, but I could have used a barn door. I could have just cinefoiled off half of the light. And created a barn door sort of with that, or just use foam board or something. But I like that I moved the stump over, and that helped fill in some space over there. And the brightness on the front is okay. I mean, I can fix that in post. It's not a big deal. Sometimes I'm like, okay, let me just fix it in post. It's not a big deal. So next shot. I got my fog apparatus in on that shot. Sometimes I don't know about me. So here, and we're all at the same settings, the same ISO, aperture, shutter speed. It's just way too hazy. I don't like it. I want the background to be indistinguishable, sort of. We know we're in a forest. You see the vague shapes of the trees. I don't want to see it too much, but I do want to see it. And here the haze doesn't let me do that. So, so same shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. But back to my point of filling the frame. I moved the stump earlier, but I still got all this space back here, and everything's still jumbled up right here behind the figures, and I just don't like it, man. We'll move that, and yes. I do like the balance in that. That does give me a nice fill here. And the stump, it kind of goes, bing, and, kind of like that. It's this little progression there. I just kind of like that. It feels balanced to me that way. And so I take the shot. We still have some highlights on here and some things that I need to fix and on the shield, but I'm not worried about that. Right now, we're just trying to find a balance in this frame and position everything to where it looks natural and, pleasing to the eye. So we'll take another shot. We're at 4 seconds here. I went to 6 seconds here just to see because it's free. So here's another thing that I'll do, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of exploring some options, and it's free. We're not wasting film. You can go ahead and do a longer shutter speed. Go ahead and see if you think that it might look better, brighter. I mean, you can just explore your settings here. You can sort of find some different variables that you think might offer something you didn't see before. So I went from 4 seconds to 6 seconds just to brighten it up a bit. And I do like the brightness of it. But as I go ahead and move through a couple of these that are me just exploring color temp and shutter speed, here I added a color temp to the bounce card in the front by the camera lens. I changed the color temp of it a little bit to make it a little bit warmer. I mean, it's cool. It's not something that I'm going to settle on and say, yeah, I want to edit this photo. I didn't like it. So a couple more shots of me doing kind of the same thing. But here I want to draw out, when we move the wagon back to fill the frame, I really liked that, but it raised a question for me that, it looks like the rope is supposed to be going through his hand right here, and I don't like that. So if it raises a question for me, I think maybe, it would raise a question for other people too. And so I wanted to find a way to reduce or, sort of minimize how this could look that it's going through his hand. So I said, well, let's just go from f8 to 5.6. And going from f8 to 5.6, obviously, is going to be a lot more light coming in. It's a whole stop difference. And so I'm going to need to reduce my shutter speed, and I'm going to need to reduce, I'm going to change my CPL. Have to rotate it also. But let's go ahead and see in the next shot. If you look over here on the right, I'm still at the same settings, f8, 6 seconds. So we're going to go to the next shot, and we're at 5.6, 3 seconds, ISO 100. It's just, I went down one stop and I adjusted my shutter speed from 6 seconds to 3 seconds. It did give me a little bit more separation in the rope, though the rope is a little blurrier. But honestly, overall, it's still too bright. So you can see here I went down to 1 second. I can't really honestly gauge how well I like the rope effect or the rope problem until I got the scene, within within a normal exposure. So I went down to 1 second, but then you could see the background fell off. 1 second was just not enough time for the light from the digital background to register on the sensor of the camera. So I need to rotate my CPL a little bit, and on the next shot I did. That lets light back in. We're still at 1 second and f5.6. So I can say, the rope, I do think that going down or opening the lens up a little bit helped that, but I don't know that I really want here to be. If you look at the figures, they're good and sharp. And this falls off a little too quickly, and it's right behind him. I don't really like the effect of the 5.6. I think things fall off a bit too quick and too noticeable. I could move the wagon back. I could do other things, but I didn't. And so I think 5.6 is just a little bit. It's not going to work for me. So here we are. I took the shot again. Without all the fog, and we're looking like the light and stuff is good, but I just kind of continue to explore the options here. And so on the next shot, these are still the same shot at 5.6, 1 second. I just don't like the fall off there. So these are just me going through and making sure I don't like it. Taking a few more shots. So here we are for full circle back to f8, 4 seconds. And this is where pretty much we began with. And I'm going to dial this in a bit. One of the problems here in this shot is the Adobe stock image on the screen has a portion of it that has a brighter spot on it, like it's like some water or something. I thought this was really distracting right here. So I wanted to move that and instead of moving it, what I did is I put the addition of another tree in there, and I liked that. But here it's a bit too jumbly, and it looks a bit too stacked on top of each other, and I don't like the dark spot going through the skeleton. So I went ahead and spread them out like this, and I think that works pretty nice. It gives a nice balance to the frame. You got, 3 trees. You've got 3 main props in the scene, the 2 figures and the cart. There's, like 2 sets of 3 and stuff going on there. Very, very minimal amount of background showing through from the digital screen. You could say, oh, this tree stump here coming out of his back is a problem, but it's obviously not part of the figure. So I did move the wagon again, so that fixed the hand problem with the cart to a way that I like it better. There are still some problems with this, but this is a good start to a photo that I can go in and edit. I do think that I should have paid attention to Gonks's foot here. Fortunately, with these big figure feet like this is easy to fix. It's not a big deal. We can get his foot flat on the ground. But a couple things too that I'll bring this out in the video where I'm putting the post together. A couple things that I wanted to do to help create the idea that there's motion in a still shot was the sword falling from his hand, his feet coming up off the ground, part of the shield out of the frame, his head going back. These are all things that help create the idea that there's some motion in the shot. And so those are things I had to consider when trying to make this also. But this is my process for this shot. And it is with most of my stuff. It takes me a while to do a shot. I don't set something out and bam, 3 shots, I get it, there it is. I explore, I take the time to really look at things. I'm looking for that alignment for me that, my artistic spirit says, oh, you know what? Hands and head, you did a good job. Let's go ahead and take this photo right here and edit it. And, hopefully that helps you a little bit see kind of what I do and maybe understand, why you do what you do in your process. But I think sometimes too, Instagram makes it easy for us to think that these shots that we're all seeing are so, oh yeah, you put your lights up, man, and you take your shot and bam, boom, bing, there it is, 500 likes. Thanks, guys. But it's not that way. The more you do this, I don't even know if the more you do it, the more it gets that way, because I've been doing it for a while and my process is what it is. I mean, I know where I'm going with lights and stuff like that. I mean, there's certain outside of, once I get a pose and a set, set up the way that I like it. I mean, I know I'm going to go to one of, 3 lighting setups. I mean, I'll depending on the set, the scene that I'm photographing. I mean, a scene like this, you're going to go to 3-point lighting. You're going to get a main, a fill, a key, a separation, and then you're going to add some little modified light sources in the frame for some, for some depth. But you're, and if you're just doing a portrait of a figure, standing in a shot, you may still, in the center of a shot, you may still go to 3-point lighting, or you may do a sort of a paramount lighting, or, but outside of knowing those parts already beforehand, what I'm going to do with the lighting, this part of the process for me takes a little bit more time, and exploration. And hopefully this helps you, see kind of, get an idea of, what I do, and maybe you can pull some stuff out of it and use for yourself, where you can say, man, this guy's a goddamn nut job, man. I'm not listening to nothing he says. But at any rate, here's the shot we're going to start to edit, and that'll be in the next video. I'll get that up shortly. But Merry Christmas Eve, and I hope everybody has a safe, fantastic time with family and friends, creating memories and things that bring joy and a smile to your soul, because If we're not finding that in life, then why are we alive? We really need to find things that bring joy to who we are inside. And I hope you do that. And look forward to another fantastic year of art and growing and learning and sharing.